Hi everybody, apologise for the lighting in the video. As you can kind of see, it's kind of dreary out today, and it's like, what time is it? 8:15 right now, so the light's not great. I'm actually relying on like a light, like a lamp, which is a normal lamp. You use the light in rooms. Obviously the colour of the light is a bit warmer than normal daylight, so apologies for that. But I figure it's not really essential, just as long as it looks nice, and it doesn't look too bad, so. Anyway, today's video, I thought I would do a video on dealing with divorce, based off my personal experience. Now, obviously, everybody goes through a different divorce, like, kind of thing. I have some expertise in this area, so I just am gonna kind of say what I wish people would have told me before, like my parents are divorced, and what I found useful to help me deal with it. So yeah, take everything I say, like different people are different. If you have been through it and you don't agree with me, just write in the comments, because you know everybody's different. So yeah, let's just jump right into it. Okay, number one, the first thing that I wish somebody had definitely told me is do not blame yourself, your parents' divorce. It's not your fault. You know, you couldn't have done anything in your life to make a difference whether they get divorced or not. It's their choice. You can't change that choice, and it's not your fault. Yeah, it's just their choice, and it's really not their fault, your fault. So don't blame yourself. You know, it's not up to you to make their marriage work, and it's not down to you the fact that it's not worked. Unfortunately, people's marriages split up, you know. CTFXC didn't have any children, and they lost interest, so don't blame yourself. I know it's like easier said than done. Like, there will be moments where you blame yourself. Like, even though I know deep down it's not my fault now, I still have moments where I'm like, it's all my fault. I've done this, that and the other. No, it's not your fault. Tip number 2. There's nothing you can do to change your parents' feelings. So don't sit there like trying to change them, trying to talk them around. You just need to start accepting the fact that they don't love each other, and it's kind of falls off and don't blame it, not blaming yourself. You have to accept the fact that your parents they've changed and they don't have feelings for each other, and unfortunately there's nothing they can do to change that. There's nothing you can do to change that. It just happens to be a fact of life, and you have to accept that. I feel like I did accept this quite easily. That definitely helped. But if you are really good in a house, or you arrange a blind date with them, or you cook them a romantic meal and try really hard to get them back together, the likelihood is they are not gonna have the same feeling. You know, you can't force two people to like each other. Number 3, expect stuff to change, and there'll be good changes, there'll be bad changes. So, like you might have to move house, or well, obviously you want your parents to move out of your house. You'll only be living with one parent, you know. Things will change, and your relationships with your parents will change. It won't be a family relationship anymore. You probably won't do much as a family. You'll do things separately as parents. So there will be changes, like emotionally, and like in terms of like physically and emotionally, like both mentally changes, like between your relationships with each other, and then like actual life changes where like you're not living with them, or your mum might get a new partner, or she might start going out a bit more with like dating and stuff, and you have to be prepared for that. You have to be prepared for change. It's not going to stay the same. 4, it's one thing to think about is it's better to have 2 happy parents living separately that you can go and have a nice time with your dad, nice time with your mum, than having 2 miserable parents and having a horrible time with everybody in your house. that's something that really helped me overcome things. Like, I could see how miserable my mum was being with my dad, and I'd rather have her be happy and not be in a family unit, because it's not enjoyable being in an unhappy family unit. It's much more enjoyable having a separate relationship with your mum and dad when they're happy than having a relationship with all of you when they're unhappy. Sure, it's best to have a family relationship. I'd much rather have a relationship with my mum and dad, me and my sister, as a family, happily, but it's not possible, you know, and it's much better to have a nice happy relationship with my mum and a happy relationship with my dad and have two unhappy parents together. Number 5, it will get better. Like, when they actually divorce, it will get better. Like, it may seem horrible, it may seem scary, and you may be like, oh no, I'm really upset about this. Actually, you probably put up with months, if not years, of arguing and unhappy parents living together, and when they actually split up and go off in their separate ways, you won't have to put up with that arguing anymore. You won't have to put up with them, you know, constantly arguing and not getting on well as a family. And so it will definitely get better in that sense, and that's just something to think about when you first hear the word divorce. Like, oh, I don't want them to split up, I don't want them separate. Actually, it will be better, and you'll end up living in a better, more comfortable environment. And you know what, later on in life, when you're older and you move out, it won't seem like such a big deal, because you'll have two separate relationships with your parents, you won't live with them anyway, and it will be you getting on with your life, and you'll realise that actually them being separated does not affect you that much the older you get. Obviously, if you're like 5, it's going to affect you quite a bit, but if you're like 16 or 17, it really doesn't make a difference. You'll be spending time with your friends, you know, you'll be going out, then you'll probably go off to university at some point, or you'll move out, and it won't be such a big deal, and it will get better. 6, you need to talk about your feelings, whether that's with a friend who's been through the same thing or with your parents. It's really important, because you will have feelings, you will be sad, and you will have opinions on things, and you need to talk about these things to be able to process, deal with it. Don't hold all that emotion aside and all the sadness from what's going on and stuff like that. And if it's anything like the way my parents divorced and the way a lot of people's parents divorced, you will have been through a bit of a tricky time before and after. So you need to talk about that stuff that happened before, like when they were arguing and stuff, because that would have been an unhappy time for your family. And then you'll need to talk about your feelings during, because there'll be a lot of changes going on, and even though it will get better and it's all for the best and everything, it still can be difficult, and it can be difficult to process because there'll be a lot of changes going on, particularly if you're not very good to changes like I was. And I made the mistake of not talking about my feelings for years and years, and now I have, but it got to the point where it affected me so much. I wish I'd spoken about them a lot earlier and had that relationship with my mum and been able to talk about my feelings. So definitely talk about your feelings, because it really, really helps. Maybe not to your parents, maybe to a friend, maybe to a counsellor, anybody really that you can talk to your feelings about. And if you really are struggling with your feelings, go and get some help. It is not a shameful thing to go and get help and need help. You know, everybody at some point in their life probably will need a bit of help, and you know, you're a much stronger person to go and get help and admit that you need help than somebody who just pretends that they're okay and then really, really struggles later on. Number 7, it's okay to be sad for a while and upset. Don't be like, no, it's selfish to be upset, you know. It's okay. Your family split up, you know. It's almost like losing somebody but not losing somebody. And it's difficult, like, for your family, and it's going to be difficult. So it's okay to be upset and grieve that relationship you had as a family before. I know I still do it, but you need to go through that grieving process rather than try and push it out like I did and just get on with things. Go through it, because if you don't, and you don't get upset and you don't allow yourself to get upset and say it's okay to be upset, what will happen later on is you will hold all that feeling in, and then later on it will just come bubbling up and it will cause a load of problems. So it's okay to be upset for a little while, but if you start to be upset for a long time and it's really affecting you, go and get some help. 8. You will still be able to do things with both your parents. Separately, maybe even together if they still get on. I know for my parents it wasn't really possible to do things separately, but I know when they divorced I got to do loads of stuff actually. And I got to spend time with my dad, and I got to spend time with my mum, and and my relationship with my mum has grown a lot stronger because I got to do stuff with her just on my own. And you'll find that you still get to do stuff with both your parents, but it'll just be on your own. And actually sometimes that can be a good thing, because then that relationship can get stronger and they're just focusing on you and them, and that's nice. So don't feel like, oh, now I won't get to spend any time with my dad, or now I won't get to spend any time with my mum. You will get to spend time with your parents separately, and you know, you can still talk to both of them. They'll be able to like focus more on you rather than bad relationship or the family or pleasing the other half. They can just focus on pleasing you, and you can just focus on pleasing them, and you're not split between trying to get on with 2 parents. Number 9, don't let it affect your life too much. Don't put your life on hold because your parents are getting divorced. And just kind of get out, do stuff with your friends, distract yourself from it, and you'll find that actually it doesn't affect your life too much. I spent a lot of time dwelling on my parents' divorce, staying in, you know, blaming myself for it, not allowing myself to go out and enjoy myself. And I'd always been like that, to be honest, really. Like, I prefer to stay in at home and stuff and be around my family. Yeah, the more you get out with your friends and interact with your friends while your family is going through the rough time, the easier it will be, and the less effect it will have on you, because you won't be so involved in the family rough times, and just let your mum and dad get on with it and go enjoy yourself, do stuff and get out, and it'll just be easier. Even if like it makes you anxious. I know I was kind of anxious leaving my mum to it because the divorce that my parents went through was quite complex, and I was like, I don't know if she'll cope, and it kind of made me anxious. So yeah, just don't worry about them, let your parents sort that out and go and have a good time with your friends. And it will be easier for your parents if you kind of get out of the way and they're not worried about you and how it's affecting you. If you're going off with your friends, then that will give them a bit of kind of like, and they can go off and they can find romances or whatever. Number 10, this is a few years of your life. Let's think about it. Say you know, by the time you're 18, you'll be pretty independent. Even if you're still living at home, you will have a separate life to your parents. And they might get divorced when you're 2 and you have to put up like 16 years of it. But when you're 2, it probably won't affect you. I'm guessing you're not 2 and you're 2. But if you're 11, say, you know, it's 10 years of your life. But not even that, like 7 years of your life. At the time you're 18, you'll be independent, even if you're living at home. You know, and the older you get, the less and less it will mean to you and affect you. And you can have 40 odd years of your life to get on with it, and you can learn from your parents' mistakes. Like, you can find somebody that you love and make sure that you're going to stay in a stable relationship with them. You'll have your own life, you'll get your own kids, so don't be really sad about it. I hate kind of being like, just wait it out, because I think you should enjoy the journey of life. But if you really struggle, then just think, you know, this is not my life, this is their life, and I've got the rest of my life ahead of me, and this is just going to affect, you know, the home situation for a while, but you know, later on in life it's really not going to affect me. You'll get used to it, I suppose. So yeah, those are kind of my tips. Let me know if I've missed anything. Okay, so yeah, I hope you found this useful, and if I helped one person, if one tip helped one person, that is like just found out their parents are getting separated, then this video has been worthwhile.